on behalf of the Institute for Leadership and Strategic Foresight. Welcome to So You Want to Be the Chief, a podcast for leaders.
Well, I'm so glad to have this young man who I've known for a few years, but we've never met, I don't think. Daniel Robinson, Chief Daniel Robinson out in the UK. Which base are you stationed at, Chief?
I'm stationed at RAF Mildenhall. I'm the Senior Enlisted Leader for the 100 Mission Support Group out in
Okay. Now you're primarily your old AFSC was or your AFSC is CE, right? You're a fireman. Is that part of CE or not?
Yes, it's part of CE. I was the fire chief here for the first 2 years before I got selected to move over to the group.
Okay. So now you have a desk instead of a big old machine with ladders and all that.
And I tell you, it's an adjustment.
Yeah.
Big adjustment.
But you were a fireman for a long time, right?
Oh yeah, so I took an early hiatus to be a career advisor back in 13 to 17, but up until then I've been a firefighter the whole time.
Yeah, and that seems like a lot of fun. Although I got to boast, okay, because I was at the academy for almost 20 years, and our guys were like the best in the Air Force.
So I was stationed there. That was my first duty assignment, so I can take some claim to that.
Oh, okay. It started with you, man. You're the one that started the whole thing.
That's right. I was there.
Where are you from originally?
I'm from Washington, D.C., born and raised.
Okay. Now, don't tell me you're a Commanders fan.
All day, every day.
No, I asked you not to tell me that, Chief. You young chiefs don't listen to the old chiefs. Don't tell me that. Okay. I'm hoping that one day maybe you'll have a team. We'll consider that. We'll think about it. I'll pray for you, man. Yeah. Well, and we all know that the Dallas Cowboys are America's team. Let's just get that out of there, so we don't start crying, man. Don't cry.
I think my connection is going out.
Well, the purpose for this podcast, Chief, and that's to help the young chiefs that are coming up behind you. Now, how long have you been a chief?
I've been a chief since 2019.
19. Okay. Yeah, because I remember those days when you were, and we all, I don't want to say we worry, but we're concerned, man, am I going to make it? Am I not going to make it? And I remember that time because you got the book. Remember that's what got you there, right?
Exactly.
If you hadn't read the book, you wouldn't have made it.
You sent me the book when I was a master sergeant, when I was a career advisor in Misawa, Japan.
Is that right? Wow.
That's when we first linked, and that's when you sent me the book. And actually, I read the book almost probably 10, 15 times.
Yeah. All right. Well, maybe we'll get together and write another one.
Oh yeah.
It's about time.
Yeah, I know. I'm over
now that you're an old chief.
That's right.
Yeah. Or what is it? And that's not a vintage. I'm vintage, right? I think that's the term. I'm not an old chief. Yeah. You're getting there. Yeah. Well, anyway, Chief, the lesson that we are going to talk about today is lesson number 5. Take care of yourself first.
That's right.
Now, and let me set up discussion, because when I talk about this one, sometimes people give me a hard time, because that's almost sacrilege. Because I think in the Air Force, particularly the Air Force, although this podcast isn't just for airmen, but in the Air Force, we really focus on service before self, serving others. And yes, that's the center of the 3 core values. But, people say that's sacrilege, man. You're saying take care of yourself before taking care of others. Exactly.
Yeah, I agree with it 100%, Chief. I think that, like you said in the book, you can't take care of anybody else if you're not taking care of yourself first. And that's not a selfish thing. That's a smart thing. And just like we've talked in the past, I have a principle about pay yourself first. It's the same principle. Take care of yourself.
Right.
So I wake up early in the morning and I work out early in the morning, take care of my physical. Because that's the first thing I need to do to take care of myself, to make sure that I'm healthy, to make sure I'm mentally, make sure I'm fit, to make sure the whole 9 yards going forward. So I can, no matter what the day brings, I pay myself first, and I have enough energy and time to give to other people.
Yeah. You're probably too young, Chief, but there used to be, do you remember a thing called STP? It was a fluid that you used to put in your car's engine. Yeah, an oil mixture or something. There was a commercial back in the day that said, for STP, that said, pay me now or pay me later.
That's right.
If you don't take care of this vessel, you will pay. Now, and we're not going to go to that discussion that you always want to go to about how do you become ruggedly handsome. Chief, there's only one ruggedly handsome chief, And let me tell you, this is not a natural process, man. I got to work out a lot to stay this fit, you know. Uh, I got to tell you, man. Not long ago, 2 months ago or so, I was out doing a program, and it was a major. She asked me, Chief, how old are you? And I said, how old do you think I am? And she looks at me, and she says, probably in the late 50s. I said, I gave her a big hug. I said, thank you, babe, because no, not even close. So uh, I guess maybe I'm doing some things right. So
Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
I don't
Yeah,
drink. Well,
good.
that's part of my heritage. I can't drink, but I don't smoke, never have. And like I said, I work out regularly. And you know what, Chief, because I've been retired 2 years. Since then, I realized I got to take care of myself.
Yeah, right.
I got to take care of myself. And I think most people in the Air Force in particular, they have those four areas of resiliency:
Yes.
physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual.
Right.
And as you say, even the physical, that affects all of them, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It does. It ties into all of them. Speaking about, physical, you have to be able to uh, exercise regularly, take care of yourself. And it's not just working out, it's about balanced nutrition. It's about, you're not sitting there, eating junk food every 5 minutes, right? It's about
Yeah.
keeping your mind clear. It's a bunch of things. It's about reading. It's about, keeping your whole body fit. And,
Yeah.
I think it all ties in together. They're all intertwined, all integrated. And I think that all of those work together,
Yeah.
you know.
Now,
So,
and one of when I talk to people about this lesson in particular, the answer, or I'll call it an excuse, really, is I ain't got time.
yeah, right.
You know, I got
Yeah,
I got to take care of them. I don't have time to take care of me.
right. So, it's the point. I often have this conversation, often is, we all have the same 24 hours in a day. You have to make that time. So, is it fun getting up at 4:30 in the morning? It's not always fun. But I enjoy hearing people say, "Oh man, you look good." My
Yeah.
son is a physical trainer, and he gives me the platform and and the motivation to work out. But it's fun when you're into it, and it becomes a way of life. They say 21 days creates habits, but well, guess what? You get up, you start working out, you pay yourself first, and then you got one of those notches that you've made time for that only benefits everybody else and you.
Yeah.
Win-win.
One of the issues, or the challenges, I'll call it, Chief, is that everybody wants to do all of those things at once, big time.
Yeah.
When I coach people, I always tell them, okay, yes, let's figure out, like you say, get up early to do some of this stuff. And a lot of times, I watch videos, I read, and all of that kind of stuff at the same time. So I'm not wasting, not that I
Yeah,
would
right.
waste it, but you can do that while you're on the treadmill,
Oh yeah.
because you just put it on and go for till it tells you to stop or whatever.
Right.
So there's ways to do it, but it doesn't have to be like an hour or two. Again, being retired, my workouts are about 90 minutes every day, six
Right.
times a week. But I got the time. I don't have to go get ready for work or nothing like that. But if you don't have that much time, 20 minutes, get at work, get
Yeah.
up, go for a
That's right.
walk.
That's right.
Now as a fireman, you had to do that a lot, right? A lot of
It's our
workouts.
job to be physically fit. So, that is something that goes without question. But there is something to say that in this day and age, and as we move into the future in a different type of airman, I would say this is the first time I've seen a firefighter fail a PT test, right? In this era, it's just not natural, or to encourage a firefighter to work out. So I think the only thing you can do as a leader at that point is lead by example, right? If they see me in the gym and they see me working out and they see me making healthy, smart decisions, then sometimes that's a trickle down effect, and that's all. Sometimes you need to motivate somebody.
Yeah. Now, and I've had. I remember there was a chief. Tapia. I don't know if you ever knew him, and maybe he was at the academy for a little bit. But anyway, when he was a command chief or a leader, had units and all that stuff, he'd get his people out early. And I say, I'm up at 0300.
Yeah.
That's kind of early. But by
Yeah.
6 o'clock, 6:30, they'd all go for a run or whatever. And this is all of them. And
Yeah.
there was a lot of bonding there.
Yeah.
And he was right there with them. So I think as a chief, as a leader, whether you're whatever your rank is, go out there and do it with them.
Yeah.
Reading. I mean, again, I send you guys books, And I hope you read them. I think you do, because you send me questions that I got to go read the book so I can figure out what the answer is.
Right.
Thanks for doing that. But you can do that together as a team.
That's right. Yeah. And, I think another principle of leadership for, we're talking about chiefs now. All right. Chiefs leading chiefs is leading from the center. You know what I mean? That way you can push, prod. Sometimes you have to motivate somebody to do something, and it's not always in a positive light all the time. Right. I think in our, I don't want to call it, I'm trying to find the right words, but in our a much kinder generation, we don't want to ruffle any feathers, but sometimes people appreciate that when you're pushing them towards something that they might not be wanting to go to. So I think that leading from the center is the best way to be, because when you lead from the center, you're not too high on yourself, you're not too low on yourself. You're right there with them to push them and lead them and guide them where they need to be. I think it's crucial.
And my sense, Chief, is that all of us need a little bit of a nudge. I think that's the term. That's the proper term anymore. A nudge. Back in my day, it was a kick in the butt. The chief would come in and you either do it or you get your butt kicked. We can't do that anymore. I guess it's not politically correct or whatever. You go to jail.
Yeah, right.
But I think especially the youngsters, a lot of them come in for that. At the Air Force Academy, for all those years, I talked to the freshmen because they were mine. They're the ones that I was chartered to teach, and they'd always say, "Man, this is not hard enough. It should be tougher." I joined. Do you know those movies? What is it? Full Metal Jacket and all that stuff. That's what I watched, and that's what I thought it was going to be like. I need that structure. Let's get out there and run. So they're willing to do that, and they can do it.
Yeah, right. But and you know what? And they need a leader that's going to motivate them to do that.
Yeah.
Because when I always use an analogy about apples, a good apple and a bad apple. If there's a bushel of bad apples, you're not going to throw a good apple in there and the rest of them become good. You know what I mean? So that's the analogy that I use, because you need a leader that's going to motivate you. So when it's good, you can keep them good. You know what I mean? Right. And you have to kind of motivate or get rid of the bad apples in order for everybody to stay good. But that comes with leadership.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, how would you do it, Chief? You got Airman Vasquez, who's well, the old term was dirtbag. I don't know what term we use now. But Amman Vasquez comes into your shop and, man, I don't want to do any of this stuff. I'm here because my dad made me do it, or, I had to. How do you motivate someone to do that?
So I've always had my leadership on a personal level. And how I do it is that's the kind of person that I love, because you can take him on the ring, you can take him under your him or her under your wing and really motivate them. And the way I do it is probably a little different, and it's probably not about a book, and it'll probably be frowned upon in some eyes, but I'm 100% real and honest. I think open, honest communication is the way to get forward, to tell people how you really feel, or to tell them where they're really going, or to tell them, but sometimes only people need to know that you care. So how I would do it is I'll be professionally intimate with you and have some good wholesome conversations. Might be colorful, depends what type of personality you have, right?
Yeah.
Match your energy. I can match your energy, so if you're coming negative, I can match that energy and make it positive real quick, because you'll be feeling like the outcast in an environment where everybody's fired up and ready to go,
Right.
So you can either join us or you can go,
Right.
There was an old standard process. Sorry, Chief, I'm talking a lot. There was an old standard process about you can be outstanding on our process. And I still believe that, right?
Yeah.
You can be outstanding. I always ask everybody I talk to, young airmen anyway, I say, who came in the Air Force to be mediocre, and wait for anybody to raise their hand? Nobody does. So why do it? Let's just be. Everybody has their own level of greatness that they can achieve.
Yeah.
They have to for themselves. So it's the motivation to help somebody do it.
And as you mentioned the word mediocre, Chief, people will argue with me sometimes, or they get upset with me, because what I tell them is that a standard, which is what we want to at least maintain, right? But a standard really depicts mediocrity. That means minimum. This is the minimum you have to do. And again, you're right. I do that the same. Maybe you took it from me. I don't know. But I ask folks, did you come in to be? How many of you came here to be mediocre? And you're right. No one says I did.
Nobody stands up.
No. So you came here to be great.
That's right. It's the same thing in PME courses, right? Where And when you're in PME courses, everybody's doing the right thing. Well, why do we have issues if everybody in there is doing the right thing? Somebody's the problem. So we have to have some real tough, tough conversations. And right, and that's the funny thing that you talked about. Often leading feedback courses, we talk about, I always put out the standard. Hey, who's read the AFI for performance reports? And most people haven't. I say, that's average. Most people haven't read it, right? But you should know it, right? But it tells us what the standard is. If you're only meeting the standard, then that's average. I always told my kids, a C grade is average. We celebrate. I mean, Air Force, we breed this a little bit. We celebrate low scores for promotion. We celebrate, when we're talking about promotion, and I always ask, so I'm going in tangents, but I always ask, what do you need to score? And I just wait for an answer. And I want them to answer me so I can go next. And I say, hey, what do you need to score on the test to make it? They say, oh, maybe about 60s. I say, when has that ever been acceptable? What should you need to score on a 100-question test? 100. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
It's off a fighting chance, right? It's our mentality and mind state that makes us that way. So, mediocre seems to be like the norm.
Right. Yeah.
And then when somebody's above average, charisma in the PDG was frowned upon. I never understood that. But some
Indeed. Well, and think about this, Chief. And all the youngsters that I know, which is not very many anymore, because I'm gone from the academy. I retired a couple of years ago. But those youngsters look up to their heroes are sports athletes and all that kind of stuff. And I happen to be a mentor for one of the world's best, at the time at least, Apollo Ono. I don't know if you know the name, speed skater, Olympic winner, gold medalist, and all that kind of stuff. And in that field, who the best is changes daily, because so-and-so won today and so-and-so won yesterday, but so it changes all the time. But to do the things that it takes to be the best, most of us, I don't know that we can do it, because we'd have a lot of them. But people like Apollo Ono, who, because I saw him doing workouts, I remember one time him coming to class, because he calls me Professor Chief. He was my student. And I saw him coming into the class sometimes. In fact, one time I remember his hair is still wet and all that stuff. I said, "Are you okay?" He said, "Oh yeah. I just came from the gym. I had a short workout." "Oh, really? How long was that?" 6 hours. What? 6 hours was a short workout? Oh man. I've never been in a gym for 6 hours, even playing basketball, but that's what it takes, right, Chief? I mean, you want to be the best, you want to be the GOAT. It's those guys, and we all know that Michael Jordan was the GOAT, and we all know that Tom Brady is the GOAT. You're not going to argue with me?
No, I can't. You can't argue that.
You can't argue with me. Okay, good. But to do those things, man, to be at that level, you really gotta work.
Takes some work. Yeah. Nothing comes for free.
Indeed. So, and I won't say that back in the day it was this way for the Chiefs, but we hoped that the Chiefs were looked up to. I'm not sure that they're still looked up to. I hope they are, but they were looked up to. That that was the epitome. We want to be a chief. Well, you got to do the work to become a chief. I hope that that's still happening.
Yeah, so it is happening, and I think that sometimes you can't always see it. But it has to be happening, because you don't get here by yourself, so it has to happen. But I think that there's valuable lessons to be learned in order to make us even better. I would say that.
Yeah. And you mentioned something, Chief, a while ago. We used to be mentored. I don't know that y'all are mentored the way we were mentored. And sometimes it was a good swift kick in the butt. That's the way it worked. But nowadays, my sense is a lot of times the youngsters they're afraid to ask someone to mentor them, which, if that's the case, that's not necessarily their fault. But we, as older folks, more mature folks, leaders, whatever term we want to use, should, I think, go out and find them. I've mentored many folks that didn't come up to me that said, "Hey, I need you to mentor me." But I'd see them and I'd say, "Hey, you look like," and a lot of times they were lieutenants. I'd say, "Sir, you look like you need some help. Let me guide you a little bit. First, I got a book. I wrote a book. Let's go through this. But secondly, I see that happening, and I think it's incumbent upon us that we take them. Come on, let me help you. Don't just stand there and wait for them, because they're either afraid or they don't know that they can.
So I think as a chief, I think that's our duty to do that. And I think those relationships, without the question, not really, even how we linked up, I don't think either one of us asked for anything. It's organic, right?
Right.
And reach people who need to be, you reach people who feel or need to be reached or acceptable to what you have to say, right? So I think that is an organic process that happens. And as a chief, you should be out looking to see who can use a hand, who can use some help. And it's our duty to lend that hand. Now, whether they accept it, all right, because I another principle, and you can see I'm a man of principles and phrases, but it's mentor all, develop few. Everybody deserves mentorship, right?
Mm-hmm.
The airmen who you really don't care for, I mean, because those exist too, you know what I mean? I mean, that's realistic. Everybody deserves mentorship, but development is personal. Development is personal, and I think development is where you get your most money from.
Yeah, yeah, and sometimes that person that gives you, I'll say, let's say the hard time, the one that's not with you all in immediately. Sometimes that's the one that really becomes stellar, because for whatever reason doesn't have what it takes to be the level that you want to get them to, but with sometimes it's tender, loving care, and people are different, right? I mean, I used to say and it's not necessarily, I'm generalizing, but the football players at the academy, you could yell at them, and it didn't mean it. Well, they couldn't hear anyway because they got the helmet on.
But the same way,
that's fine. We'll take it. That's a good quote feedback. And some others, you got to not coddle them, but you got to hug them and be nice to them. It just depends. We're all individuals. We all take feedback, again, that word, differently. And as a leader, and as we say, in particular, chief, but you started becoming a chief as a master sergeant.
That's right.
That's where we met up, and that's where I sent you the book. And that, if I've done any mentoring or coaching with you, it started way back then.
That's right.
You had it. You were ready then. You just needed to get to the other next section, next level, and all that kind of stuff. So it's not like you got to wait till you're a senior master sergeant and you're testing for chief to do these things. You need to learn these. The sooner the better.
That's right. And we talk about. So the book is so you want to be a chief, not how to become a chief. And I think that is the main goal, because you start developing these things and you start putting all these things in your toolbox until you can finally take it out. And the stripe is for us to use, not to show that we are
to flaunt.
Right, to flaunt. Right. Yes. So is it? I tell everybody all the time. I say it's not my identity, but I wouldn't trade it for the world. Right. But it's my access to people. It's my, so what I'm saying there is that you don't get the stripe to do things. You build up to it, and then that's a culmination of who you are at the end. Right. A chief, we are there. A chief is a chief is a chief is a chief, and we should, so at this stage in my career, I've been in 26 years to the day, actually. And so
thank you for your service.
Thank you. Thank you. But my point is, what do I have to gain from here?
Right.
I mean, so we have a culture of chiefs who want to gain duty titles. Okay, that seems to be the most prevalent case, which I wish chiefs will learn, that a chief is a chief is a chief. Doesn't matter your duty title, right? But what are we here for? We're here to guide the enlisted force and officers, mainly, where they need to be, right? There's nothing else. There's nothing else I can do for myself, and that's one thing I love about this rank, is that nothing I do is for me.
Right, indeed.
Right, building up to it, you have to take care of yourself, like for real. We're talking about taking care of yourself first, physical, mental, and social and spiritual. And we're talking about that, from a mindset of making sure that you are good to help other people. But when you are coming up to the rank, you really have to find that balance of taking care of yourself in a negative sense, from what we're saying, right? But and taking care of other people, so you learn those skills, how to do that. And then when you put on chief, it's just about taking care of people, and that's the one thing I love about wearing this rank.
Yeah, yeah, and there is without if you become egotistic, then you're going in the wrong direction. But there is some power in that title, Chief, as you
Oh
know.
yeah,
You
oh
know,
yeah,
it's still, although I'm retired, I've been retired for 22 years or so. Uh, People respect me more when they know I have that title because I know that they know I worked for it,
oh
and
yeah.
not that I use it for my own personal needs, but sometimes I've called on behalf of a lieutenant,
Oh
and
yeah.
you know, it's some. In fact, this happened. What was it? At Minot, maybe I think I found out that one of my lieutenants couldn't get his household goods delivered, and which
Yep.
was I thought, what? That makes no sense. And he'd been there like 3 months or something. And I got on the horn and I called there was a master sergeant at the TMO or on that side, and I said, "This is Chief Vasquez." Oh, yes, Chief. And I got it squared away, and he
Right.
got his, believe it or not, the next day they delivered it. It's like, duh, you know. Uh, so I think, you know, I hope people won't take it as that's the wrong way to use your rank.
No,
But I
it's a
think because that's the
network.
right,
It's definitely a network. It's a
yeah,
network.
you have
Yeah,
to
yeah,
sometimes, you know,
yeah. It's
and
definitely a network.
yeah, yeah, and then it's in the book as well. You don't mess with my lieutenant, because if you're messing with my lieutenant, you're messing with the chief, and
Right.
I will do what I have to do, sir. I look good in orange, and I can pick up trash anywhere, man.
That's right. That's right.
So
That's right.
I can go to jail easily, and nowadays I'm not. It's no big deal anymore. I'm not under the code anymore. But
That's right.
last few
I am.
minutes,
I gotta
Chief,
watch
what can you
my mouth.
tell? I'm sorry.
I said I am, so I gotta watch my
Yeah,
mouth.
you better. Yeah, we have evidence now.
All right.
Last few comments, advice for those new chiefs that are just putting on that top rocker.
Yeah, I would say, stay true to who you are. You don't have to try to be or act like anybody that you're not. You just need to be yourself and what you thought a chief was when you were coming up. So I would say be the change you want to seek, and use your stripe to better our people, right?
Yeah,
Become the link, the chain, and I always talk about not getting too high on yourself because it feels good. You get access.
yeah,
Everybody knows who you are.
right,
People that you don't even know.
yeah,
And I say don't get too low. People say it's lonely at the top. That's only if you allow it to be. So
yeah,
I really didn't. I never really understand that, or not that I didn't understand it. I always tried to debunk it because I think I have plenty of people that are in my corner, and I think genuinely, but that's because of taking care of people genuinely. So I say
right,
just be unapologetically who you are, and have fun and enjoy it, and make sure that you are inspiring other people to do the same.
yeah,
And the last thing would be what I said earlier is to mentor all, because that's your duty, and develop few. That should be your passion.
yes, indeed, indeed,
Because that's
and
your bandwidth. Yeah,
and
bandwidth. I think few because it's your bandwidth.
indeed, and take care of yourself first.
Yeah, yourself first. Yeah,
It's okay.
exactly.
It's okay. You should take care of your first. We cannot give what we do not have.
Exactly.
So
Exactly. You have to know what you're talking about. You have to be an example. You have to do all those things, and you have to do those first. And so it's the same principle come up in the ranks, Chief, right?
mhm,
This is what we
yeah,
talked about. You had to do all the stuff first. And now that you're a chief, you got to continue to do that stuff so you can
right,
give it all back. Right.
right,
So I
yeah,
agree with you
yeah.
100%. It was great. Yeah.
Well, Chief, best of luck out there in the UK, man. I know you're having a lot of fun, and you'll be out there for another year or so.
Yeah. Yes, I'll be out here until 25.
Okay.
So taking this group gig added some time to my UK tour.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Good. And you know what's funny is that most people, I think, once you get to be chief, you can go to whatever base you want. No,
Yeah.
you answer to the chief's group. They will
That's
send
right.
you.
That's true. That's true.
So,
And yeah, I think it's probably a limit of the places you can go because
indeed.
I would like to be in DC right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, not right now, man. You know, maybe next season.
Yeah. Oh, not just because of Commanders. I'm also. I don't want to talk about DC sports right now. We're not doing too well.
Yeah. Well, all I can say is, how about them Cowboys?
Oh, Chief, you're killing me.
Yeah.
Killing me.
God
See,
bless you, brother.
this would be the mentorship part, not the development.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Sounds good. Well,
All
take
right.
care of yourself first, and we'll stay in touch.
Yes, sir. Yes,
God
sir.
bless you.
God bless you too.